Robot, are you there?
Hey, doing great.
Hello, everybody. It's Liz Cross here from psychiclizcross.com, and we are back with Mr. Robot. I'm sorry for the delay. I was dealing with a lot of coast to coast drama, but we got that over with.
Cool.
And now we are chugging along full speed ahead. And it looks like Mr. Robot has lined up this really cool probe for us today. So take it away, Mr. Robot.
Awesome. Pleasure to be here with you. So this is Marcel Vogel. He was an IBM scientist for like 28 years. And he's something that he did is he came out with the magnetic material that's on CDs. So that's one thing he accomplished, amongst other things with crystals. And that's kind of where this probe is going to go. So at one point or another, he discovered a very specific degree of an inside and a very specific degree on the outside of a crystal. He basically, I don't know how he determined that this is accurate, but I don't know if he noticed it. Can you connect to Marcel Vogel first?
Yes, I have him here. Yes, I do.
Can you ask him how he noticed energy was flowing through the crystals?
How did you notice? That's a good question. And his theory is absolutely right, by the way. How did you know that the energy was flowing through the crystals? He could feel energy. And I feel like he had something to kind of test the energy as well. But this man is very intuitive, right? Or certainly he was when he was on the earth plane here, in this last lifetime. He could feel energy. He could feel vibrations. Very, very intuitive.
That's awesome. Can you ask him if this design came to him esoterically, like through a dream, or if he just knew it scientifically that it might work?
Did that come scientifically to you? Yes, that's scientific. It didn't come in a dream or anything. No, he just figured it out on the principles of how energy works.
And could you ask him if the angles were based on the angles of the pyramids?
Ooh, were the angles based? Yes, that's correct.
Cool. Awesome. And I'll show the viewers a couple of crystals he designed. Let's see. So it's really hard to find real Vogel crystals anymore. And almost everything now is cut in the style of him. So these might not be necessarily actual Vogels, but this is the principle. Can you ask him if the amount of sides matters when working on a person, sending energy?
Ooh, does the amount of sides matter? Do the amount of sides matter when working on a person? No, it's the points that matter the most.
Okay. Because a lot of people really break the bank. They're trying to get the highest amount of size, and you can see here it's like an extra $2,000.
Wow.
So that's nice that we can channel him and see that that's not necessary for most people. Can you ask him if there's anything that he could perfect to these crystals now that he's non-physical and knows more?
You were doing to perfect the crystals now that you're not in the physical world? He would make them much larger.
Interesting. what does he feel about the really large Vogel crystals that exist that are like ginormous? Does he like them?
Large ones that exist, the ones that exist now. Do you like them? Yes, he does.
Yeah, so there's this one guy in Hawaii, and I don't know where he sources the crystals, but he is making some really big ones, and they look even bigger than this one right here. Can you ask him if what the benefit is of having the crystal bigger?
What is the benefit of having the crystal? The magnitude, right?
Okay.
I totally understand this. And the reason I understand this, here we go back into the CTT again. George and I, the creator of CTT, he wanted to find out how to magnify the power of CTT. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this was very early on when I started, studying under him, working under him. And we got that if you actually took a quartz crystal, important thing was it had to look like that, right? It had to have a clear point, like a pyramid on the top, pointing away from the body and hung around the neck, around the chest area. And what
Ooh,
that
interesting.
it does, it gathers up the energy. So when you're doing energy work, you're pulling energy out, and it would really attract that negative energy. But when you are trying to manifest as well as clearing out the energy, you always want to manifest something back into the space. So that manifestation is sent out, and it is absolutely magnified through that point of the crystal. He is absolutely correct. Now, Spirit gave that to us when we were doing a CTT session. This guy, this Vogel.
Oh, Liz. Hey, Liz. Hey, Liz.
So sorry. Where did you lose me? I'm very sorry.
You just said this Vogel guy.
Right. So the Vogel guy here, he came up with it because he can figure out how energy moves and how energy works.
Yeah.
Same principle.
Okay, perfect.
Do you use crystals in your work?
Yeah, I use crystals all the time. But one has to wonder, if it's just a money trap or if there's a legitimate benefit to using something like this versus, like a $5 one like this guy that, China makes in large scale,
Okay. Is there a difference between having a perfect smooth surface or circumference? I think that's right. And then having the point, the lines, the edges. It does make a difference.
Okay.
It needs to have that clear, defined shape. But as far as how many of those, sides you have, that's irrelevant, even if you only have two sides.
Can you ask him if these degrees are as relevant as he thought they were, the front angle and the back angle? Are those as necessary as he thought?
I'm sorry, repeat that question.
Um,
Are you talking about the sides, or are they on the point as well?
so it's the real main argument for buying a Vogel crystal. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Is this angle on the front and then this angle on the back? So it's like 46 degrees and 43 or something. Can you ask him if that was as paramount to like power as he thought it was?
Was that his paramount to power issues? Absolutely.
Cool. And since he's in non-physical now, and this idea was based on the dimensions of the pyramids. Can you ask him if this angle is also how the pyramids transmitted energy?
Absolutely. Now, going back into another CTT session that I've done for myself, right, with the creator of CTT, going back into that, I have found myself many lifetimes, and also when I'm doing CTT for other people, occasionally, where we're standing at the base of the pyramids, right? Mm-hmm. And we understood very clearly that the reason the pyramids were shaped in the way that they were was because we were praying to those pyramids, and the pyramids would magnify, excuse me, the energy of your prayer and point it straight up into heaven.
And on that same note, can you ask Marcel if at one point in time was there a big pool of water under the pyramids?
No.
Okay, because there's a theory that there was like kind of like a lake under the pyramids, and it magnified the Earth's vibrations, and the vibrations would flow through the crystals in the pyramids, resonating faster and faster and shooting a beam of energy out at the sky.
Well, that's exactly what it does. You know, I mean, energy is energy, right?
Right.
Was there a lake or any water? No, there was nothing, no lake, no water under the pyramids. Now, what is so fascinating about water, and I think I've said this on one of my videos before, when I would roam around the psychic circles pre-COVID in London, we would do these experiments where you would take a bowl of water and you would ask somebody to put their hand in the water for 5 minutes. Okay. After 5 minutes, the head medium who was running the circle would then say, okay, remove your hands. And then what I would do is I would actually put my hand over the top of the bowl, you know, maybe 3 inches above the bowl. And I would feel my way around and I could feel their energy. So it produced a timeline. Don't ask me how, I don't understand it. But so the closer I was to the bowl of energy, the younger they were. So they would start with the baby. And then as you're moving your hand up the time or away from the bowl, you're going through their lifespan. And then say they're 30 years old. So you hit the 30-year-old mark above the water. You're telling them about their life now. They're agreeing. And then you can move your hand up even further and tell them their future.
Wow, that's awesome.
So water is extremely powerful. I could see if there was water underneath the pyramids, I could see it would make everything exponentially more powerful. But of course, our friend here, Marcel, is saying, no, there wasn't any water.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Meridians and acupoints.
Can you ask him if there is energy meridians on the human body?
It's beneath.
Okay.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Do you?
Yeah, let's get to that. Can you ask him if the meridians have anything to do with your physical body, like veins, for instance?
Do meridians have anything to do with the physical body? No. It's an energetic concept.
And do the acupressure points that everyone studies, do they actually relate to the actual, is it accurate? Can he tell if all our acupressure points that we know about are accurate?
Yes, very.
And ask him if there's any benefit to using a Vogel crystal on different meridians, or if he recommends just getting acupuncture.
Acupuncture or the crystal? The crystal.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have no idea what I'm answering here, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so these are just the flow. If you were going to go to a acupuncturist, they would ask you what's wrong with you, and they would find the corresponding point on your body that represented this ailment that you were having. And this doesn't actually have anything to do with Marcel, but they're a little bit two in the same, where the concept is the energy is flowing through your body at all times. And if you have an illness, then one of these points is clogged. And the correlation is that the crystal can supposedly kind of unclog these spots. And can you ask him if that's accurate? Can you unclog these spots with a crystal?
These spots with a crystal. Not by crystal alone.
Okay.
You would have to have a protocol of energy removal.
Can you ask him what he thinks about Reiki?
It's fairly decent. It's good.
And if he knows about any other energy practices that would work better than Reiki?
Do you know of any energy practices that would work better than Reiki? Several. Now, what he's telling me is in each of these points here that you're showing, emotions get stored in the body, and they get stored around particular points. So the most powerful thing you can do is try to pull out the emotions from from the meridian, from the pressure points. You can do that with a crystal, but you have to have that protocol.
Definitely. Ask him what would work better than Reiki in general for energy healing.
What would work better than Reiki for general energy healing? Hypnotherapy.
Huh.
Because the conscious mind will block healing. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Okay.
Interesting. So that's all I really had for Marcel Vogel. I say Vogel, but I'm pretty sure it's Vogel. Or can you ask him if it's Vogel or Vogel? Vogel.
Vogel. Vogel.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, nothing like spirit correcting our pronunciation. Do you have any other questions for him? He's really enjoyed the fact that you wanted to channel him this evening.
Yeah, ask him what he thinks about crystal grids, if they're worthwhile. If there's any benefit to someone making a crystal grid in their house. Is there any benefit
to someone making a crystal grid in their house? That's a no.
Interesting. And
I've never heard of a crystal grid. What is it?
It's this theory that this design behind this crystals is this one I think is called this is the flower of life. And the idea is that if you put crystals on top of the like nodal points, you would kind of reach this frequency of this flower of life frequency design.
But the flower of life design has to be like an avatar of yourself.
Okay, is that what he's saying?
Yes.
And
there's a total disconnect. Most people don't do that.
Okay. Can you ask him if there's any merit to sacred geometry.
Yes, there is.
And this one in particular, can you see my screen where my mouse is?
Yes.
Ask him what he thinks about this design right here.
He doesn't like that one. He believes it's darkness.
Weird. So this is Metatron's cube. We channeled Metatron recently, remember?
Oh,
So this is I don't know how anyone gets these designs from Spirit, but I don't know. We can question that some other day. But
I don't feel like that's from Metatron.
that one, okay.
Yes, they may have thought they were talking to Metatron, but I don't believe that they were.
Cool. Let's double check that. Yeah, I mean, this image basically can you actually we connected to Metatron once. Can you connect to Metatron and ask him if this is the correct design?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Ooh, very, what do you want? Is this the correct design? No, that's not correct.
That's funny.
It's much more simpler than that.
People have this like tattooed on themselves and it's everywhere in the world. That's kind of funny. Can you ask him how this design got like perceived initially? Did someone connect to him?
Did someone connect to you to make this design? No, they connected to an imposter.
And does Metatron believe that any sacred geometry patterns would help get like ascend or get into a deeper state of meditation?
Do you believe that patterns help ascend? Yes. And deeper state of meditation? No. So yes to ascension, no to meditation.
Interesting.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just answering questions.
Yeah, so there's this whole theory that sacred geometry, that basically people look at these patterns and they believe that they're getting encoded with like higher dimensional information essentially.
Are geometrical patterns related to higher ascension? Yes. Why is geometry so important? Because it's almost like the pattern of life.
Okay. What does he think of the flower of life symbol?
That's great.
He likes that one.
Mm-hmm.
Would Metatron say that it's better just to connect with him than try to work with any shapes?
It's better just directly with you than to work with shape, if that's possible. But a lot of people can't connect directly to Metatron.
What would his advice be to connect to him?
You would have to really switch off the conscious mind.
And so like this book in particular, I actually read this book. It's called A Practical Guide to Ascension with Archangel Metatron. This person said they were channeling Metatron. Can you ask him if Kristen, I'm assuming this is the person who was channeling. Can you ask him if this book was channeled by him?
Was Kristen Taylor the author? Yes, channeling, yes.
And it was actually Metatron that they were channeling it for this book.
Metatron that they channeled the whole time. It wasn't Metatron they channeled the whole time, but a majority of the time.
And in the book, it says that you can just ask Metatron to help you. Would Metatron hear that if someone was thinking that they were asking for help?
Yes, somebody was thinking of asking for asking for. Would you hear that? Yes.
And would the only catch be if basically that the person wouldn't be able to hear back? Is that the whole issue that people run into?
Yes, that's correct.
And lastly, can Metatron help you even though you can't hear him?
Most of the time, yes, if it is permitted within the soul design.
Interesting. And when people think of Metatron, when people are trying to imagine and they're trying to talk to Metatron, they imagine this usually, which is that symbol. Um, can you ask him if there's something better that people could imagine to connect to Metatron?
Metatron. Yes, all you need to do is connect to pure love.
Okay. And then one more question for Metatron. Can you ask him if this shape is an accurate depiction of what a soul actually looks like, a Merkaba?
Yes.
And
what is that? I don't understand what's that supposed to mean.
I don't know how anyone figured this out. But like for instance, Cryon, the guy who channels the spirit named Cryon, he references this very often, that this is actually what your soul looks like. It's like a 10-foot wide triangle and another triangle, and you're this big Merkaba of energy.
That's correct. Yes. Now, let me tell you why that's correct. Because we have our soul, we live in the body, okay? And then outside of the body, we have what is called a biofield.
Okay.
And the biofield is this energy exchange system. And the biofield actually stretches out pretty far. It can, but certainly the more concentrated part of the biofield is about 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet out from your body. Okay, so a perfect example would be, if you're out in a public space and somebody's standing in your personal space and it makes you feel uncomfortable,
yeah,
they're in your biofield, right?
definitely.
That's what that is. So I would say, yeah, and Metatron agrees that is a good representation of the biofield.
Awesome. And then can you ask Metatron what he thinks about Cryon, who is channeled through Lee Carroll?
What do you think about is channeled through Lee Carroll? It's a hoax. It's false.
So he doesn't like Cryon.
No.
And what about Abraham Hicks? Does he believe the entity who channels through Esther? Does he believe that entity is a good entity?
Do you believe the entity is channeled through Esther, which is Abraham Hicks, is a good entity? For the most part.
And maybe Bashar. Trying to figure out which channel or Metatron might enjoy. What does he think of Bashar?
Dangerous.
Yeah, that's not the right Bashar.
No.
Alien. So does he not like the alien that's channeled through Daryl?
Very dangerous. Believes it's a hoax to entice people into the trap.
And what does Metatron think of Jesus?
Loves Jesus.
And would he say that they're at the same ascension level, or is he under or above?
Jesus is higher.
Okay. Cool. That's all I got.
Oh, well, that was interesting. That I love this. You really do come up with some fascinating topics. How did you come up with this?
Um, that's just all the stuff I learned about on my free time. That's just my hobbies. This information right here.
You must have a lot of free time.
A little too much.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, for our benefit, of course. So, well, thank you. And again, if you want to make a connection with Mr. Robot, you're running that Telegram group, aren't you?
Telegram's one way to reach me. Mr. Beach Life on there, all one word, or email moongrass777 @gmail.com. I do Reiki energy healing for people remotely.
Okay. Oh, wow. And what is the name of the Telegram group?
So, I should post a link. I'll post a link in Discord so anyone can just hop on there. It's because I don't think you could find it just by the name,
Ah, okay.
unfortunately. But I'll post a link to the Telegram on your Discord.
Awesome. Okay, great. That would be fantastic. And of course, Mr. Robot has his own little category on the Discord. You can drop a suggestion or 2 or 10 in that Discord chat. And just thank you so much. If you want to book a reading with me, it's psychiclizcross.com. And if you want to join us on Discord and Patreon, go to Patreon and sign up. And this supports the YouTube channel. It's Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, Mr. Robot.
Awesome. My pleasure.
Thank you.